In this video, we are going to take a look at the incoming 2024 South Carolina point guard recruit, Maddy McDaniel or Maddy McDaniel. We will do the usual throwing of the flowers as well. We will talk about her game and give you some background information on her injuries and why she is very fortunate to be playing basketball at all. But before we start, if you enjoy the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a like. All right, let's get into this. Maddy McDaniel was the first recruit to commit to South Carolina's 2024 class in August of 2023. But in some ways, she is a bit under the radar, which is surprising as she is rated the number 14 recruit in the country. But then really, it's not surprising as it's South Carolina and that's where high recruits go. More focus has been on Joyce Edwards, the number 3 ranked recruit in the nation. As well, there's probably more focus on Adele Tack as well, who's rated lower than Maddy McDaniel at number 28. But she could be a very, very important piece to South Carolina's 2024-25 season as she gives them depth in the post, which they might need. Whereas Maddy McDaniel will likely get some time on the court, but let's be real, there's not a lot of minutes to be had in the South Carolina backcourt with Te-Hina Paopao returning. As well, you have incumbent point guard Raven Johnson in addition to Malaysia Fulwiley, who is chomping at the bit to get more minutes and wants a starting position desperately. And that does not even mention Tessa Johnson, who further crowds the backcourt. So essentially, they have 4 very, very capable guards that could start on any team pretty much in the nation. So to me, it seems pretty clear that Maddy McDaniel is the heir apparent to Raven Johnson. She will do the South Carolina thing and bide her time on the bench and learn her lessons as she gets ready to take over the team and gets more minutes. She'll get probably more significant minutes, hopefully in her sophomore year, once Te-Hina Paopao leaves. You can tell that Dawn Staley envisions her as her future point guard. After signing her, she released this statement saying, "I love a point guard who plays to make others better without sacrificing her own talent as a playmaker, and Madison is that. She has court vision and the ability to shoot and get to the rim, but what sets her apart is that she makes good decisions in the moment and has team success as her top priority. Madison has been very well coached and played at an elite level, so I know that she fits our culture and that the fans will love to watch her play." McDaniel has gone to a big-time high school with a lot of expectation, Bishop McNamara, who produces a lot of D1 scholarship players. And she has run the show well as a 5'9" point guard. Her senior year, she averaged 18 points, 5 assists, 4.7 steals, and 3.5 rebounds per game. She can get to the basket, it seems like, anytime she wants. She has a good shot. As well, she has that old point guard mentality. It's not just about her getting her own shot. She thinks about the overall team structure and how she fits in. She gives this quote, meaning, "Some games I know I have to come out aggressive to open things up for my teammates, and sometimes I have to get them going to open up things for myself." And overall, she just seems like a natural point guard. Like she says, she was always, from early on, she's always been comfortable with the ball in her hands. And this is probably genetic. She was probably always meant to be a good basketball player. Her uncle, Ronnie Lester, played briefly for the Los Angeles Lakers and Chicago Bulls. He won a championship with the '85 Lakers, but unfortunately his career was cut short due to injuries. But she often picks his brain as he worked for the Lakers for several years as a scout. Now, injuries is the concern with Maddy McDaniel. She was actually rated as high as the number 11 recruit, but she had an ACL injury in her sophomore year of high school and was out of action for 10 months. She returned her junior year of high school and won the championship with Bishop McNamara. But then, unfortunately, again, her senior year, at the end of her senior year, she injured her knee again. It appears it was a meniscus injury. She underwent arthroscopic surgery in late February. There aren't any details on what was actually done. I assume it was like a meniscectomy where they just trim a bit out because that's usually about a 2 to 3 month recovery. And she was actually able to participate in the under 18 2024 trials for Team USA, which were held on the 14th of May this year. So she has made, obviously, a good recovery, which must be pleasing for South Carolina fans. So it doesn't sound like the recent injury was significant, but it's always a bit of a worry when you're going on your second knee surgery and you haven't even started college yet. So on paper, this looks like a good signing and a no-brainer, and everything's going to work out. But I think all of South Carolina's signings look that way on paper because they get so much talent to come there. Since Dawn Staley has taken over South Carolina, they have signed 20 McDonald's All-Americans out of high school, plus another 5 through the transfer portal. And since 2008, they've signed a McDonald's All-American every year. If I was making this video a few years earlier, it might be on Talasia Cooper, who was the number 18 prospect in the 2022 class. She actually entered the transfer portal a few weeks before Maddy McDaniel announced that she was coming to South Carolina, as she just averaged 8 minutes in the 22-23 season and probably saw the writing on the wall with Tahina Pau transferring in with Full Wiley and Raven Johnson in front of her, and decided it was better to go to Tennessee and get playing time versus just waiting the long wait game that you have to do at South Carolina. But it seems like two things are in McDaniel's favor to be a success in the South Carolina system. One is she's keen to play for Dawn Staley and to be coached hard by her, saying that was one of the reasons that drew her to South Carolina. As she was quoted as saying, "That was really important to me, her being a point guard coach," she said. "She's tough on them, but she loves them hard too." The other thing that she seems to have is a really high maturity level. If you're looking at her backstory, her mother actually had cancer while she was pregnant with Maddy and had to undergo chemotherapy. Her being able to play basketball is actually pretty much a miracle, because the doctors basically told her mom that more than likely her child was going to be blind after she gave birth to her because of the chemo treatment she had before she knew that she was pregnant with Maddy. And obviously it worked out, as she's a healthy, talented kid. But the other thing that she's had to deal with growing up is that her mother, Tamika, had a relapse of cancer, and thankfully she's in remission over 10 years now. But I think even when you have a parent that goes through a serious disease, even if you're as young as 7, it does have an impact on you and sort of makes you grow up maybe just a little bit sooner, knowing the potential mortality of your parents. I mean, thankfully that didn't happen.
I'm sure it took a toll on her mentally, but all I could do was reassure her that I'm going to be here for as long as I possibly can.
Her beating cancer twice, it shows me like you have to be grateful for what you have. So that's definitely a big thing that she's teaching me. Always be grateful, always be kind, always stay humble, and never give up. That's something she definitely teaches me.
But I do think that potentially gives her, you can just tell that she has an extra maturity level. At least that's what it seems like in the interview that I saw. And again, this doesn't guarantee that she will have success at South Carolina, as I think sometimes the weight of expectation weighs these kids down. But overall, it seems like she's a really good kid that South Carolina should be happy about coming to their program. And hopefully over the next few years, she will develop and inherit the reins from Raven Johnson and lead South Carolina on into the future. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Your comments, your poison, everything is welcome. Have a good night.